43.
42. 41.
40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33. 32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And we have another humdinger of a show. This is show number 222. And it's funny. It's funny because we're getting a little more attention than we usually get on things. People are actually watching the show and making comments and clipping this and that. So we decided we'd have a production meeting this week. So we had a production meeting last night. And so after four and a half years of doing this show, we're going to actually try. I know you're like, wow, that's good to know that you're ready to try doing this. But we have a great guest tonight. I met Tim Cramer at a political event. He's got some stuff going on. He's on the TikTok. He's on the social media. He does these little shorts and things and talks about a lot of current issues. I thought, well, heck, he'd be a good guest to have on here. We can share his information, maybe get him a few viewers, and maybe we can get a few viewers of his. You know, I like that, stealing other people's viewers. That's good. We got a lot of stuff going on right now. We got riots and sexual harassment and all, and sexual riots. I mean, it's terrible right now what's everything's going on. But so, and then we have, since we did have a production meeting, we got a little bit of a change up in how we're going to do things. So last week, I got a little bit of feedback from the fact that we had a guest on, and me and the panel sort of were yucking it up for about 10 or 15 minutes, and we sort of forgot we had a guest. So we're going to do it a little different this time. I'm going to bring the panel on so that we can get our chit chat out of the way. Then we'll bring our guest on and get it going. And actually, Brad worked on some talking points. I mean, you just may not even recognize the show when we got done. Lucy and Dorn came up with a new. Well, let's just get to it. Let me just bring our people out here right now. Let's go with Lucy, Brad, and Tiffany. What is happening?
You can't keep a secret to save your life, can you?
Was I supposed to keep it a secret?
It is just way too much pressure on this episode.
I know, right?
I was
like, wow, like you gassed it.
So
I don't think he's actually revealed anything. I mean, we can always.
So. I
mean, it's kind of one of those where people are like, wow, the show seemed different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I didn't want people to get like shocked or anything from this. So one thing I want to fix though, before we get too far going here, I want to fix the background because there we go. That background is just a little busy. Look at this. It almost gives us a clean new look, and that's a clean assault rifle you got back there, Lucy. That's good. So how's everybody doing this week? We had a big production meeting, and Brad followed through on his talking points, and I feel like we're either Fox News or CNN or Fox News. That's what we.
Yeah, there's not like a shortage of things to talk about. I feel like
that is true.
Man, it is it is on like the donkey Kong. So Brad gave us 3 national things to talk about, and 3 or 4 state things or local things. So
like today, I think the Hogsett stuff really like kind of came center stage though.
Yeah, I think we had,
and I think it's only really going to get worse for him because the Pacers are in the finals. So that made me think of a couple things. Like I don't think he's going to resign while the finals are going on, even though I don't know that they're like related. But I can't.
Then he won't
I'm
be able
afraid
to
it's
go to
going to get
basketball
like too national for him, and he's going to have to, make a decision. I think there's going to be like national media covering that, because don't they all make bets like the mayor of Indy versus the mayor?
Yeah,
of
they did that
he
last
did,
week.
and the governors did. And
Yeah.
well, hey, this is one of the first evenings we haven't had a Pacer game going. We've pretty much generally had a Pacer game on the Tuesday night, and yet our loyal viewers still show up and watch our show live. So I think that's awesome. But anyway,
But
anybody?
Brad, they did make their wagers last week. I think Hogsted offered a trip around the racetrack, dinner at St. Elmo's, and I don't know,
And
probably a drive-by shooting.
Well, it's interesting that the Democrats are coming after one of their own. That usually doesn't happen. So anybody got anything else? Because I'm ready to bring this guest on, and I still cannot move people around. I don't know what's StreamYard has hated me for some reason. I don't know what their deal is, but you get what you get here. So
Just want me on top. That's all.
yeah, that's right. Well,
Yeah,
what do they say?
women
The
have a
cream
gun.
rises to the top of the whatever. Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring Tim Cramer on, and we'll let him tell us a little bit about himself. So let's see where. Oh, look, there he is.
There we go.
Yes, you get down by Tiffany. So yeah,
Perfect.
This is good. So Tim,
Hey.
how are you doing tonight?
I am doing awesome. Caught some fish today. Got all my work done. Perfect way to end the evening.
So what kind of fish did you catch?
Bass.
Oh, okay. So you're bass fisherman. Yeah, so I like to catch fish too. It's fun.
Do you have a boat, or do you just off the dock?
Yeah, I go from the. I've got this theory that the only thing that is better than having a boat is having a buddy who has a boat. And so I have buddies who have boats.
Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, a boat is a hold in the water you throw money in.
Exactly.
That is what. Well, that's good. I mean, so tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what this Cramer Says project. I caught some of your clips on there, and you seem quite serious.
Well, about the things that we need to be serious about. Everything else, I think, is a joke. To give you some background, I was born and raised here in Indiana, from Martinsville originally. Moved to Indianapolis, went to Ben Davis, graduated from there at 16. Went to college. That wasn't quite for me. And my first big job here in this market, where people started to hear my name on a regular basis, was as Bob and Tom's first producer back in 1985. So started out in radio, worked at almost every radio station here in town. Worked at WZPL for 7 years, worked at Q95. I was at ZPL 3 times, by the way. Worked at HHH, worked at TPI, there's all the stations in town I worked, plus all of the other stations in the region. In 95, I realized that I was aging out of top 40 radio. I'm 40 years old. I'm standing in a club, and everybody else is 22. And it was either that I was desperate or pervy, and I wasn't either. And it was time to move on.
Creepy old dude, huh?
Yeah. So
you were just probably minding your own business. Not doing
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so I went from there. I started an advertising agency, and my career has really been. It's been a weird situation. I kind of follow my passions, and then wherever that leads, I seem to, for whatever reason, rise to the top of that. By the way, when I got the job at Q95, I was only 20. So that's what I mean. It was a fluke that I ever got that job, but that was the catalyst for the things that come next. In 95, I started an ad agency. It started out with one client, Capital City Ford here in town, but Cap City had a bunch of dealerships around the country. So we blew up pretty quickly, started working with Eli Lilly. And then before you know it, we're working with national brands, international brands, and doing huge projects. And in 2009, we decided to change the structure of the business 100% because I saw the writing on the wall, and it came from what Obama was doing with the healthcare situation, and that mandating that I had to pay for somebody's healthcare in the way that they were, it was going to not bankrupt people, but I didn't get into the business to be a healthcare provider. That's not why I got into the business. And so what we did is we changed up our model and went to 100% contract labor. And what we do at Mosaic is we build teams specific to what the needs are. So instead of going into an ad agency where you may have a graphic designer or a 3D artist, you walk in, that's what you get. You get the best that guy has. What we do is we find who's best for the project that we are, who's best for the project, not who we had to put on the project. So it structured it a little bit different. We went from having a ton of employees to having no employees, but a bunch of team members, and we blew up. And so in 2019, I was making more money. I was getting ready to start doing my bucket list. My wife was all excited. We're getting ready to travel, and 2020 hits. And it's over in 3 days. We lost. We had about 45 retained clients that were paying $5,000 as a minimum a month. So you can calculate the money. We were doing very well, and we were growing. And we were in the live entertainment and retail automotive sectors, which were devastated by COVID. These companies did not have insurance. There was a whole big issue. So overnight, we went from making a lot of money to making nothing. And we had been responsible over that time. And as we'd grown the company, and so as I let people go and let them know that we wouldn't be able to retain them, it was a really bad time. I got really depressed, and then I started to see what was happening with our government. At the same time that all this was going on, I worked with the Indiana Republican Caucus. I was their media guy. And I got called in by WIBC. This is 6 weeks before the 2020 election. I got called in to to WIBC to fill in for Hammer or Nigel or somebody. I can't remember which show I was on, but I got called in to fill in, and they had no talking topics. So I just walked in and went cold and did a 9-minute rant about how unconstitutional Eric Holcomb and the Republican Party was doing.
That fits in with what they do, I think.
Well, I get a phone call. Yeah. We go to break, 9 minutes in, go to break, and we get a phone call from the State House threatening me with my relationship with the caucus. Now, at that time, I was making about $400,000 a year from them, so it's a substantial amount of money. They threatened me by saying that if I didn't shut my mouth, this is 6 weeks before the general election in 2020, if I didn't shut my mouth, that I would lose the business with the caucus. I don't like being bullied. I just don't.
You came to the right place.
So the thing that I did was...
Did you expect your employer to let you defame one of their, their number one client?
Defame versus, inform.
No. I mean, were you surprised that they did that?
Yeah, I was, because we'd worked together for 10 years. They'd been in my home. We were friends. I'd been in their homes. So it wasn't like we were strangers.
It wasn't friendship. It was business. But you're saying that and I'm just asking. But you're saying that you were genuinely surprised that they threatened to take your contract for talking about their number one client.
Yes. And here's why. Because what we were going through at that time was more important than business. What I was talking about was not, see, it's interesting that you bring this up, because that's the first thing that they thought I would do. I didn't care about the money. The money didn't matter to me. Our rights were being denied to us, and they were laughing at us. Eric Holcomb made rules, was going to put a criminal penalty on it until, who was the AG?
Curtis Hill.
Curtis Hill stepped in his way, right? That's why Curtis Hill got lambasted. I mean, no, I thought that this was more important, and that our rights were more important, and that Republicans would stand behind me and the Constitution, and not the craziness that these idiots were doing. So, no, I understand. Hold on. I had more faith in Republicans. And it was ill-placed.
It was so I get them trying to silence you and violating your constitutional rights and your opportunity to say whatever you wanted to say. But my only question was if you were surprised. That's all about the contract.
Hey, Tim,
I was. I thought we were all on the same team. I thought we all had the same values. And
was Holcomb on the ballot in 2020?
I'm sorry?
Was Holcomb on that ballot in 2020?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So Lucy, I didn't pick this guest out just to be your buddy on this show here. So I can see you up there go everything he's saying. I'm thinking, oh, let Lucy go. Let her go. So Lucy, what are you hearing right here?
Well, first of all, I'm going to try not to fangirl because I consume your content. I love it. I'm a follower. I mean, you've just done a really good job bringing some clarity to the issues. But I don't know if John kind of set you up for how this show works. Tiffany's our Republican shill. Brad is our blue dog Democrat. I'm the
Yay.
libertarian, and John tries to keep us all from being at each other's throats. And so my job here, you might recognize me because I was the libertarian candidate for United States Senate in both 2016 and 2018. And I've served as the vice chair of the state party. I've currently stirred up a hornet's nest down here in Washington County, Salem, down where I live. And I really admire the fact that you understand that green rectangles versus your integrity, they're for a good person, for an honest person, there is no choice. I remember I'm anti-vaccine. So I remember when I was younger and my dad was like, you should really just, go to school and become a nurse. I'm like, Dad, I can't do that because they would ask me to inject a fellow human being with things that I know that are poison that can kill them or disable them. And my dad being old school, from the Great Depression era, said, well, you got to do what your employer tells you to do. And I said, no, absolutely I don't. In fact, the only person I answer to is God. So I want to really thank you for the strong online stances that you've done and where you have really brought some clarity to some things that are confusing for people to think about.
Yep. So now I'm going to be Paul Harvey here. And can we hear the rest of the story? On what happened after?
We want to know if the Republican, what the Republicans did to you, and
it was
kind of things.
We were 6 weeks out from the election. There's nothing they could do to me. But what they had done is they had threatened to fire me, and that was enough, right? If you don't know, when you call a radio station, that's recorded, right? You pick up the phone, you call a radio station, they answer, they're recording that. So I looked at the producer and I go, did you get it? And he goes, yeah, I'm a racket. We played that on the air. You see, here's the thing, is that you people can't play this. Let me step back and say this. The reason that my video content is in black and white is because of my dad. He said something one time that stuck with me, is that he was a minister. He said that sin lies in the gray. So what does that mean? He goes, it's either black or white. It's either yes or no. But sin, it picks its place in the gray. That's why I do my videos in black and white. It's emotional talking about that because COVID killed him. He got his second booster. He wouldn't listen to me. And 3 weeks later, he was dead. I'm not anti-vaccine, but I'm becoming it. You see, we were told that vaccines did certain things, and for a long time, those things held true. And the moment that they stopped being true, I'm a doubter, right? Wait a minute. You changed the definition of what it did, and now you're forcing people to get that shit. Nope, not doing that. That's having honesty with yourself and saying to yourself, I can learn. Maybe RFK Jr. isn't as crazy as everybody said he was. So let's go find out if what he's saying is true. Well, what we keep hearing is this one phrase over and over and over again. There's no evidence of. That's a marketing term. It means nothing. Search it. It means nothing. It means that nobody's looked. That's what it means. We haven't found anything. Well, nobody's looked. So we've got to start mandating and being more serious about what our leaders are saying and what they're doing, and then holding their feet to the fire, not the other way around. The Republican Party shouldn't be turning around firing someone because they're informing other citizens of their constitutional rights. I mean, it's that simple. No, I did not think that I'd get fired for doing that. I thought that there was a separation. There wasn't. So I learned a very, very valuable lesson inside the political realm, that if you want to speak out, you can't be associated with a party.
I don't think that your opinions were very far off base from a lot of people at the time either, right? I mean, around that time, I feel like you were kind of in the vein of what people were thinking about vaccines. I mean, there wasn't a lot of research. There wasn't a lot of, things like that.
Oh,
but
I'm gonna push back on you on that, Brad.
But I think a lot of people were upset with the mandate, or like with the mask mandate too. So you going off for 9 minutes, I kind of agree with you, just in the fact that you're not the only one saying this stuff.
Well, at the time, I was the only one saying it. No,
there's the loudest megaphone.
No, and that's good. But
No,
that's
there was
needed,
nobody
though. Like,
talking
if you
about
have
it. There
that
were very few
megaphone,
people.
That's
Right. Well, and when I say that, that's on broadcast. Social media is completely different with me, right? Nobody was saying that on broadcast. Nobody was saying. They were saying on social media. Nobody. It was funny. What's his name? Oh God. They're on Saturday mornings on IBC. As soon as I got done with
garden show,
the garden show.
Yeah, Sullivan.
One of them, I can't remember which one of them, but as soon as we got done, he kept the hotline rang and he was on the other line. And as soon as we got done with the hotline, we went to him and he goes, "Love what you're doing. It's time somebody starts speaking up." And what happened was, at the end of that show, 4 hours later, gone, done. I was never on IBC again. That's the power of the Republican Party in the state of Indiana. Jeff Smulyan, the guy that owned WIBC at the time, is a Democrat. That's how far their reach is. Now, I'm not calling myself a victim. I picked myself up by my boots and moved on and did, other things. I'm now working with a think tank out of DC. So everything's fine. Right? Everything worked out the way that it was supposed to work out. I'm happy with where things are, but I'm not going to be silent. Here's the one thing, and I want to say that, when I was a kid, my dad was a minister, and I ran with the principal's son and the sheriff's son, and so you can imagine the kind of trouble that we got into, right? And so I got into a little bit of a legal problem when I was a kid. And I thought I was a badass. I thought I could get away with anything. I thought I was smarter than everybody else, and I wasn't. And I learned my lesson the hard way. And there's a lot of lessons that I learned in that process. There's a lot of people that I met that I have seen time and time again since then, and how their lives have turned sour because of making the wrong decision. And you know what? Somebody called me while I was talking. I'm sorry, I lost where we were talking about. I've lost my train of thought.
You were gone from WIBC in 4 hours, but then you got to the think tank.
Got to the think tank, and then but the legal
Everything
issues.
happened for a reason.
And yeah, you had then you got in some legal trouble when you were younger.
Yeah. You're running with bad
I don't know how I got there. I do not know how I got there. Sorry, somebody. I've got my phone hooked up, and it went into the same earpiece, and it was ringing. Sorry.
You'll have that on these shows. We've had some interesting things. There'll be a black cat and a white cat probably come on here later as well.
Yeah, he was already here.
It's not the Matrix.
We'll give you some lion's mane mushroom. We'll fix you up with lion's mane mushroom.
to get off the serious. I'm sorry, to get off the serious stuff. The social media stuff was a total fluke. A buddy of mine who's a firefighter on the South Side sent me a stupid dog video on this app called TikTok, and I'd never downloaded it, so I downloaded it and looked at it. And as a guy, I'd worked in marketing for almost 40 years. I saw this thing as how powerful it was. When I realized what it was doing in feeding me the content that I wanted to see, I go, I can have some fun with this. But I never intended to do any videos or any of that kind of stuff. And I made a couple of videos with my granddaughters and didn't post them. And then they started taking the faces of color off of products. And so I made a video about it. And I had been told, with all this virality stuff, that going viral was hard. My very first video went viral. It's still, over 1 billion views at this point. And what it was talking about is that, Democrats have a double standard. They say one thing, do another thing. They took all these faces of color off, but they didn't take any of the white faces off the products. Why?
You're talking about Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben,
Land of Lakes. Yep.
Land of Lakes. All of the.
They
didn't mess with Skip Boyardee though. I don't think.
Right, because he's white.
Well, but yeah, I mean,
or the Quaker Oat guy.
White. They left all the white faces.
Boyardee is Italian, so do you want him to be like?
He's Anglo.
Oh, I'm like.
For these
purposes,
I've never, as they say, did he come from the mountains of Caucasus?
I can see. What about Colonel Sanders?
He owns his own brand. People choose him. He's not on the aisle of the grocery store. I am personally offended, and I am going to be Aunt Jemima for Christmas. I mean, for Halloween.
I love that you were.
Are you going to go in white face
with that answer?
No, Aunt Jemima. She was part of my childhood.
What an incredible opportunity. given the time that she lived in.
Yep.
I mean, my goodness, to have somebody so just genuinely loved and respected and
Exactly.
associated with breakfast with your mom and dad and grandparents. I mean, that's like hitting the lottery.
I
as far as people
know.
loving you.
And in fact, I think it's the whitewashing of America, actually, taking away some
here
of
we
our
go.
favorite colored people.
That wasn't
Well,
our
and
talking
honestly,
point.
like,
How many children grew up having like Mrs. Buttersworth syrup? And my niece said this when she was a little kid. Why isn't she talking to me?
Yeah, she did talk to us, and she had the apron and everything.
I agree with you on that, Cramer.
So I would say that Tim, this has been probably the longest introduction we've had on this show. When I asked you,
you asked me a question, I'll go a mile.
Yeah, you did it. You
I used to have to fill 4 hours a day.
I put in the chat there a link to one of your Cramer Says videos, and that's on a TikTok. It looks like TikTok, it's interesting. It's funny how a lot of these short, I call it a short. There's another guy that'll be in a restaurant eating a piece of pizza. He'll say a question, eat a bite, and then finish the thing. He makes a lot of quick points on things. And I think that the way our society is now, everybody's so darn busy. We don't have time to sit down and watch an entire show or catch the news or whatever. We have to rely on these things. Yeah, book. Yeah, Brad, you're so 18th century.
Hey, everybody, go to your local library for their summer reading program.
Great. That's a great segue, Brad, because there were some text messages from Joe Hogsett to one of the female employees about reading a poem that was appropriate. So let's get into this.
Was it a limp? There once was a girl from Calcutta. No,
it was. I don't know what it was. They read some of it on the radio today. So, so this is the city council last night. They forked out another $300,000 for a investigation of this sexual harassment on top of the 150 that they put in there. And I'm going to put the link to the video in there on the chat. But one of the things I want to talk about,
County, I'd be losing my mind. I mean, they could have paved at least one road for that amount.
Yeah, well, this is how this works. Okay, so I'm convinced, and it's not tinfoil hat moment yet. So what happens is when these politicians screw up, all these law firms, they file an appearance. All you got to do is file an appearance, and guess what? You get paid. When I ran for mayor, I tried to run as an independent, and Tim, you may remember this or not remember this. And they threw all my signatures off the ballot for various reasons, but 1,100 of them were registered voters. They just address didn't line up, but they were registered voters, so we sued them in federal court. So the city had five attorneys, and then the state had 6. They spent approximately $150,000 on attorneys to keep me off the ballot. How much? I had really no chance of winning.
That's a cul-de-sac right there.
But that's 2019. So I say this because just think if I would have actually got on the ballot and won in 2019, I tell you one thing, we wouldn't be having a sexual harassment suit right now. And I'll tell you what, our roads would be better because I've actually built roads and I know how to run stuff. So anyway, that's my rant and raving. So anyway, I put the text in there. But so last night, one of the accusers is Lauren Roberts, which I'd love to get her on the show. We'd give her more than 2 minutes, obviously.
Yeah, she deserves more than that for what she had to put up with.
Yes, and there's so much other stuff allegedly that went on down there. It was a culture of grab ass. I'm sorry. It was. I just
people being touched.
Balls and strikes.
I don't know what I mean. What I've heard is more than touched. If you know what I mean.
Really?
So a couple months ago, let's see, that would have been in February. I was down at Chatham Tap meeting.
I don't even think they put that much effort into what they did to Curtis Hill. I mean, like he was accused. And
in public.
I don't even think, did they spend $100,000 investigating that?
Oh, for sure.
More than that.
They did.
They were out to get Curtis. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Curtis because of the cannabis issue. I don't smoke or drink anything, but I just feel like people should be able to do what they want with their bodies as long as they're not hurting anybody else. And why he insists on criminalizing a plant just really irritates me. But he's done so many other good things like he did with Holcomb and got himself into trouble.
Yeah, he got the most votes, and hey, that's how they'll make that phone call and they'll threaten you. But so I see in February, I meet Mike Speedy down at Chatham Tap. I don't know why I picked it. He picked that. We picked it. We went there, and guess who I see coming out? I see Dan Parker, who is the chief of staff for Hogset, and shortly after that, Thomas Cook walks out. And you'd think that they would be more discreet about doing these meetings or whatever. But you know what? They don't even care. They don't even care anymore. So the fact that they're spending $400,000, $100,000, $450, whatever on this thing to a law firm in Chicago, that's
well. Can they get their money back on that? Like,
we're back to go to the bathroom or something.
It just underscores
No, I'm just
the problem with. Go ahead. It's hard to tell.
Sorry.
It's hard not to talk over Brad when you can't see him and see if his mouth's moving. But, it just really underscores one of the problems with government and the state, and that is the people that commit the bad actions. They have there's nothing that happens to them when they're wrong. A police shoots somebody, and what happens when that policeman shoots somebody? Well, they might get a few days or weeks off with pay. They investigate themselves. They find that they've done nothing wrong. They've got qualified immunity. There's nothing meaningful that happens. I guarantee the police actions would severely decrease if all of a sudden it came out of the cop pension fund, the law enforcement pension fund. And the same thing with, we've got this going down in my county where last month we were getting this big grant to help pave our roads. And we just have to come up with 25% of it in the county. And the grant from the state is 75% of it. And in direct contradiction, an illegal act, 2 of our county commissioners voted for a higher bid. So 2 bids were offered. One was $79,000 lower. The owner of the company that got the bid for the $79,000 literally had 150 or more employees show up, park some of their company vehicles all around town so nobody could even get to the courthouse, and then gave 10 minutes on what a great guy he is and how much money he gives the Little League. And then 2 county commissioners voted for it. So
One second. One second. Was he the higher bid?
Yes, he was a higher bid by $79,000, and he gets up there and goes on for 10 minutes, and he literally got 10 minutes. Now, if I talk, I have to sign up a minimum of 24 hours in advance, and I get 3. And so he told, how it's only a $19,800 difference to the citizens of Salem. Well, that's really disingenuous because the other 75%, $60,000, is being made up by taxpayers someplace else. Grant money doesn't come out of nowhere.
Right.
And so yesterday morning, today's Tuesday. This morning, we had another emergency council meeting because the state of Indiana sent a letter that said, hey, you're in danger of not just losing this grant, but all the future grants. You better fix this. And so all of a sudden, we've got a new vote. And now the vote is for the lower bid. So now we're saving $79,000.
Lucy got him.
It's just a microcosm of what's happening.
I smell County Commissioner Brenton coming on.
I will not run because the good commissioner lives in the neighborhood as if we live in neighborhoods around the country. He's the good guy, and he's very, very brave. I know he's got death
when that
threats.
happens, Lucy.
Oh.
You know what?
Great, but yes. I mean, you already have somebody
to,
in your corner. That's great.
It is. We're really lucky. But what I will do is I will walk for whoever is going to primary the other 2 commissioners. We got one coming up next year and then one in 2028. So we're going to get rid of them. But how much fraud and waste are they going to commit in between? How many people are they going to threaten with face down in a cornfield or, floating in a retention pond? That happens. We have people get Epstein down here. And I thought moving from Fishers, from Hamilton County, the Republican bastion that I
We're not going to kill you. We're only going to shun you and your family.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You would only cancel me economically and start, stop doing business with me.
Yeah, nobody's going to kill you. I mean, golly geez.
Yeah, and that brings me to a question, and I want Tim to jump in on this. Is I see a level of frustration. Jay Hart went berserk last week about the property taxes and people coming in. Brad's laughing. And, and I've talked to, by the way, next week, Greg Merriweather is going to be our guest, and we're going to talk about this subject. And he's got his ear to the ground. He's been up in the business of the city, county council, all this stuff. He's been there before. I think the level of frustration people are showing, and Tim, maybe you know this because you have a large following on TikTok and social media. Do you see that people are like really getting frustrated? I mean, to the point where, we got riots out in LA, but that's for a different thing. But I think that it's fueling these things. Is that what's your take on
I think everybody's pissed off. I think everybody's angry. I think a lot of people are frustrated. I think that they're just tired of being tired. It's amazing to me that we're being told on one hand that the American dream is dead and we have to move on to a new progressive mindset. At the same time, they're selling these people here are coming for the American dream. I mean, the duplicity of the messaging that goes on all the time. What you said about, doing the funny videos, the purpose of those initially was because it was to make fun, to mock what was happening. It was to ridicule. It's because
satire's great.
Exactly, because it shines a mirror to the craziness of what we're going through right now. I mean, imagine we have these politicians who are watching the exact same thing that we're watching on TV, and they're going, look at those mostly peaceful protesters on I think it was ABC7 in LA. The reporter was watching it, saying that the police and the military should hold back because if they come in, it might incite people who are just standing around watching cars burn. They're having fun watching cars burn. That mentality, yeah, people are frustrated. They're done with the crazy. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, we are being gaslit on a daily basis at a mind-blowing scale. And I know that because I'm really good at advertising and marketing. I mean, I know how to sell a message, right? And I see all the tricks that I've used throughout the years being used on us. And it's sickening. I don't, while I've got the time here, I don't have the link. I'll get it if I get a chance here. But I started a petition to get President Trump to reverse the Smith Modernization Act. It doesn't allow the government now is allowed to propagandize us legally. In 1948, the Congress said, hey, we can't allow the media and everybody else and the agencies that we have to propagandize the American people. So they had the Smith-Mudd Act. In 2013, it was modernized to the point where, yeah, the government can lie to you and it's legal. So imagine what's happened. Just look at what's happened in the last 11 years, 12 years. How much have we been lied to by our government on a scale versus what we were used to before?
200%, 1,000%.
A million?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Are they lying to us more, or are we just hit to the game?
It's not us. They're lying
16
to us.
of the last 17 jobs reports for Joe Biden, all lies. Propaganda.
And
None of
they
those
were federal employees.
were created out of thin air.
Auto pin, yeah.
So is that petition on change? Is that petition on change.org? Is that where it is?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, I got the link for you because that's what I do.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Tim, I got a question for you.
Tim,
are you so good at marketing that you can create mass formation psychosis?
Yes. It's not hard to do, folks. It's called
repetition.
Let me give you. I'll give you one that everybody knows here, right? And this is mass psychosis formation, or mass formation psychosis, right? Here's the story of a lovely lady. Where does it go from here? Everybody knows, right? You know where it goes from here.
Bringing up three very
lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother, the youngest one in curls.
Is it because we're in the blocks right now that this is kind of working?
Yeah, exactly. He's working on us. It's like maybe you could make our show go nationwide.
I don't understand how so many people have seen, the little squares that pop up with city after city of NBC, ABC, CBS affiliates. They all are literally reading the same script. And the same news is disseminated so that the culture is homogenous.
I'm going to push back on that one.
But isn't some of the news the same? Like, to tell everybody, like, the news is going to be the same, whether it's in Cleveland, whether it's
it's not that. It's more insidious than that. I'm going to push back because people misunderstand what they've seen. Okay? Those clips that you're watching are from Sinclair Broadcasting. Sinclair Broadcasting is the largest privately owned conservative broadcast company. They are in thousands of markets around the country. Democrats don't like them because they march to their own drum. John Oliver of HBO's John Oliver This Week Tonight, or what is it, Last Week Tonight, or whatever it is?
Last Week Tonight.
They did a hit piece on Sinclair Broadcasting. Those are promos that were sent out to every station. And if you were able to hear the entire thing, which you've never heard, it says, don't trust us. Verify. Go out and look for your own sources. It was an exactly what they made it into. That's what these motherfuckers do on a daily basis. Sorry, I dropped. Sorry, I get carried.
Yes, I love it when the guest does it first. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, now we all have permission to cuss.
Yeah.
I love it.
So you see, my point is that it's all marketing all the time. It's messaging, and people fall prey to it because they become immune to it. Like hearing that.
Which side do you think is getting tricked? Almost, I guess.
We are.
Are we all?
Yes.
All of us. See, here's the thing. I used to be a hardcore.
That's just.
I'm conservative. I'm a political conservative. I don't know if I really call myself a Republican anymore. That's a party thing. That's a different thing than having a set of ideology that does not change with the wind, depending on who's the head of the party currently. That's why the state of Indiana has gone from the second most conservative state in 2010 to the 23rd most conservative state currently.
And Holcomb was a Democrat.
Ooh, them's fighting words, Tiffany.
Well,
felt like that is surprising to me.
Holcomb never had a real job in his entire life. He always worked for government. And that was one of the things that was really a stark contrast when Donald Rainwater ran against him, because Donald Rainwater, they were both Navy veterans, but Donald Rainwater worked in the private sector and was willing to let people make their own decisions and to be free. And he actually had a way to completely eliminate property taxes by simply paying a sales tax on the initial sale of your property when you bought it. And then from then on, you don't pay anything. And so we had a real path forward. And what did Braun do? He broke promises. I mean, that guy's, what's his net worth? I mean, it was like 90 million when he ran against me, allegedly. And it's probably double, triple that.
Million or something.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he went into Congress and he got all of the fraud that, he
You guys think he's running for president?
Oh, yeah. Good segue, Brad. Brad, one of our talking points was Braun going to run for president? I don't see
Switched
that
his pack over because that's what it was. Because I remember there was an article from Indy Reporter or Indiana Capital Chronicle. I want to say it was Indy Reporter, though, about like him having a new PAC, and the guy who is running it now has run some. He runs big time campaigns, presidential campaigns, and I don't think that Braun is looking to, go for re-election of his current job because he's doing a shit.
So Tim, what do you think? What you got your ear to the ground on this one? Have you heard anything about?
I haven't heard. When you sent me that, I read that post. I was like, that was news to me. I don't think it's a wise move. He, to Brad's point, he doesn't have the greatest record here. And if you can't win your home state, you can't win the nation. I'm sorry. You just can't do it.
Do you remember how unpopular Pence was?
Still is
2015.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or is.
He wasn't going to be reelected at all.
No.
He bungled so many things for the state, and I knew he was going to lose. And it blew my mind that Trump picked him, and it worked because he was so Christian that it won that whole. Oh my God! It was
Trump's always looking to cover his own sins, and I've heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true. Maybe Tim, has Trump actually converted to Judaism? Because he's been seen with that Rabbi Shechem or something that basically talks about all of us being, Goya and the Noahide laws, and probably a lot of things saying people don't know about.
Hold on a second.
I hope not.
Is it that early?
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not.
I want to go to his bar mitzvah.
You know what? Everyone's free to do what they want to do. Right? It's a free nation. You can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
What?
Tiffany cracked herself up on that one.
No, Tiffany. Yeah, she said she'll go to his bar mitzvah.
Well, he could have a
gift.
Yeah.
It's the bris you want to go to, isn't it? Isn't that what
No,
you want to see?
no thanks. We're good.
Now
We're good.
I'm an intactivist. I have 10 children, and I've allowed 0 people to mutilate their genitals or come at my children with a knife. And so those are definitely fighting words for me when you talk
Yes,
about
they are. I forget that, Lucy.
yes,
And
because
no
is that
genital
gender
mutilation.
no genital mutilation, neither
No,
males nor
but is it
females.
gender mutilation surgery? Do you consider that?
Oh, no, because everybody gets sex and gender mixed up. I mean, you're biologically male or female, and then we have some friends that are intersex that we've actually had here on the program.
Yeah. Emmy.
No,
Yep.
this is
Donovan.
I have more respect for my Jewish friends who have a peaceful bris where they do not sexually mutilate their own children or pay somebody to do it. And the industry behind this, in case you guys aren't aware, Sandra Bullock and Oprah Winfrey, they all get penis facials. They all get facials made
Wait,
for the
hold on. What's
epithelial
that?
cell.
What? Excuse me?
See, I thought Tim had the
You don't
worst.
know about this?
He had penis facials.
Yeah, and Sandra Bullock has, and she said this even on the Ellen show, and she said, well, basically they take a snip. I think it's from a Korean baby, and they take the foreskin, and you don't understand. The foreskins are sold by the hospital to pharma companies. They grow out the cells. These epithelial cells are undifferentiated. They're very, very special. These are very, very special cells, and they're grown into skin grafts. And of course, the pharma company profits off of the mutilation. When you take that foreskin if you're an adult, it would be the size of the palm of your hand if you're a man. There are 25,000
Humans are
nerves
so
that are
weird,
designed just for
Lucy.
pleasure.
Like this is what there's a market, right? Apparently, for
I
There
want
is
my
a
money
market
back.
for the
I want-
torture
I
and
want
mutilation of
royalties.
infants in this country.
Sweet Jesus. Like, no, but that's on us. Like, as humans, like, God, we're so weird.
Who thought it? I mean, I don't. This
It's
is not on our talking
Kellogg.
points. It's not
The
on our talking points.
cornflake. Sorry, I'll take it off the table then, but it's the cornflake guy. It was Kellogg. He did it. And he also took carbolic acid to burn out the clitorises of baby infant girls. But thank God I'm a girl.
Oh,
and that
I was
never
just
happened.
thinking, how could we make this topic worse? Let's put
Fuck
that in
was
there.
not the worst thing that I heard
So
in this
speaking,
show yet. So
speaking of
Kate Blanchett had one too.
speaking of DUIs, nice segue, everybody.
$150 treatment.
Yeah,
Penis
they're
facial.
they're literally vampires on these poor babies. I'll shut up though.
So we're going to switch over here to DUIs. We apparently it seems to be legislators get in some trouble, and it doesn't seem to get noticed, and then they just sort of delay it. So I'm putting in there Capital Chronicle here. They did an article on it. This is one of our state topics here. Legislators get in trouble. I mean, not only it seems like we have sexual harassment, we have different things going on, and we got so much stuff screwed up. When do these people have time to go out drinking and philandering? I mean, really? I mean,
They're not really working all that hard.
Oh, okay.
You know,
They probably start about 3 o'clock with a bottle out of the desk.
Yeah. How many days?
What is it about somebody who has too much to drink and then thinks they can drive? I'm the last person. After I do most of my drinking at home. I Uber. I have designated drivers.
Who doesn't love being driven around?
No. Oh, I love that shit. If you put me up in an SUV, I'm going to sit in the back. Wait. Driving Miss Daisy? Oh my gosh. That is my role model. I'm telling you, my friends will pick me up. I'll be like, I'm sitting in the back. I'm just going to sit in the back. I will let the front. Oh my God! Passenger seat in the front. Bacon, Miss Brown Daisy's in the back. But anyway, but what makes people think that they can drive safely? I don't get that.
I know, and they just wonder. I mean, this latest one. Apparently, he was like 0.28, and he had food all. I mean, that's like
0.28 is insane.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's bad.
Somebody sent me one. Somebody on this,
and that was from the hospital, then, right? Too, because he
did the blood draw.
Oh, the blood draw.
Yeah,
at the hospital, so they had to wait that amount of time.
And so
he's still.
Well, he could have been rising. See, he could have been on the rise when he got.
That's a good point.
Or maybe he had cold medicine in his system.
Maybe he had a gummy. See, so we had.
Maybe he's abused his liver so much his liver just gave up and it's like. Fuck this. I can't do anything
Yeah,
with this stuff.
I'm out.
Point eight
Yeah.
it
That's
is.
been a lot at the liver.
Ooh, who's
So,
turn?
you know, we had Jim Lucas. He got in some trouble. I think his was more gummy related than drinking, if you want to know the truth. But
His was a great tale. If you guys have never seen the police report on that, you guys should look it up. It's,
yeah,
it's good.
it is Jerry Springer worth, isn't it? It's
Well, but that's the thing about Jim. Like he has like owned up to it. He got reelected since that happened. So we can talk about it all we want. He's still where he is, you know.
Yeah, that's
the
and
people
he's
still
not,
elect him. I don't.
and he's not one of the party darlings either. You know.
No.
So does it do things like this matter? Does character actually matter?
Not if you're a Republican. So Tim, I have a question for you.
Wait. I think character matters, but I think the bigger issue is transparency in terms of what people should know and when. Because it's like you can survive bad things
If you're an
politically.
elected official and you're living in the public eye, you should expect that every iota and every pixel is examined and put against a high standard. So Tim, here's my question for you.
Mhm.
You have been up against Leviathan. You've actually come out better on the other side. What kind of practical advice can you give for the average Hoosier or somebody watching this, how to be more free? How would you advise people on the way that they can conduct their affairs for maximum freedom in the society that we're in now?
Learn how to say no. Learn how to say no. That's all it is. Everything that's done is by the tactics of a bully. You remember on the playground, the bully told you what to do, and either you did it or you got smacked. All you had to do was say no, right? And then the next level is you got to smack the bully from time to time. That's it, right?
I tried that, and the bully smacked back.
You know, I mean,
Is that what's happening in L.A.?
You know what? It's a great point. Yeah. The difference is that I was at January 6th, right? I stood right at the bottom of the stairs. I didn't go into the building. That wasn't what I was about. I saw the horses gathering to the side, and I said, I'm going to get out of here. And then I went on and did an interview on IBC.
Did it feel like high school? Be like, these feel like bad choices.
Did you guys feel like you were a threat?
No. Because here's the thing.
You have one of Fury's hats and horns? No.
That was our house. And I don't agree with breaking in and all of the stuff that was done. But at the same time, that's our house. And when everyone was told to go home, when Mayor Bowser said, go home, everybody went home. We didn't go into the streets and burn and loot. We didn't do what's happening now. You see, that's our property. And what they're destroying is private property. That's what the government is there for, is to protect that stuff. And the politicians of LA are not doing that. Trump learned his lesson last time. He's not going to let these cities burn.
Private property has insurance. I mean, to be honest, like
that one company
use the violence.
We cannot get like, for as much as you guys talk about, oh, I can't unsee a book with two dads or whatever like that. You guys, I cannot unsee people climbing up the freaking side of the Capitol building. Like, that was grotesque. And I don't care what side you're on, that was wrong.
That is the most American thing that I've ever been a part of. Are you telling me? Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I watched it all happen that day. Like, so.
Boy fight.
Were you there?
No. I was just watching on.
Okay. Let me explain. Let me explain why we were there. We thought that the election had been rigged. We weren't there because we thought a drug addict had been killed by a cop, by a narrative that had been created by a marketing company. We didn't
talk about the Minneapolis riots. Yes.
Yeah.
That was even a video.
All the George Floyd stuff was a marketing plan. It was a money-raising plan. It was a fundraising plan. Everything was monetized. Hold on a second here, Brad. The point is that the people that are on January 6th were there to save their country. Everybody that is rioting and looting in LA is doing it for personal reasons. They're not there to make the country better. They're there to burn it down. There's a big difference. We didn't burn anything. We didn't loot anything.
The crowd on January 6th might have been there with a patriotic sense. Like, I want to think that there's a split between the people like that, where they went off the cliff, and that there are some things that we can like rebuild upon. I don't want to just paint with a broad brush, and I don't know why it's okay to do that with January 6th, but then not with with what's going on in LA right now?
Because it lasted one day. Because it hasn't lasted 4 days. Because when we were told to leave, we were there to save our country. We were there to. We were exercising our right to Congress. Explain to me this. I keep hearing this thing. This private property has insurance. You're absolutely right. It does. We pay for that. That comes back around full circle to it comes out of my pocket at some point. It's not free, Brad.
Then everything comes out of my pocket.
And secondly, give me your address and I'll have them come destroy your private property to see how you feel about it then. You see,
I have like minimal property. I'm one of those guys.
Well, okay. Well, then you have no skin in the game and should keep your mouth shut about the issue.
Ooh, boy. There you go, Brad.
I live in the same country.
People know, Brad. Let me speaking honestly here is that people who don't involve themselves in certain things but have an opinion on certain things, I don't think their opinion has any weight at all. You don't own much, so you don't care if it gets stolen? Okay, fine. I have attained through work, hard work over the last 45 years of my life, from the time I graduated high school to now, I've done nothing but work. And you're telling me you think that it's okay for a green-haired motherfucker to come in and burn down my place because they don't like what happened across the street? You're a moron, Brad, if that's the case. I cannot talk with people like this because it's the moronic thinking. It's this double standard that it lives in the mind, and you can't have it. Either things are right or they're wrong. They're either black or white. If you live in the gray, you're going to have what we've got going on in LA.
That's what I just asked about the people climbing the side of the Capitol building. I said, how?
Those were feds. Brad, that was all created.
God.
Those were all agent provocateurs that were created.
Brad, I've got a video. I have a video.
Wait. So wait a minute. So Brad is saying one thing. So I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with what the media puts out there. So they put this content out there. You know, you go to your news source to get their interpretation of what you're seeing, and they interpret it one way. CNN says one thing, Fox says another, Truth says another, you know, your dad says another. And we are all seeing the same things, taking something different away from it. And it does nothing but divide us. And this is exactly what they want, is for us to not agree, to see these things. And you know, kind of you just go back to, hey, this is criminal. It's trespassing. It's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Burning of the cars is wrong.
Let me step in here real quick. I want to make sure that I'm not pissed at anybody here. By the way, I'm very.
We like the energy. We like
if you were black, they would call you an angry black man, and you'd be in handcuffs. So just limited
No, Tim,
it depends on how I identify. Let me say this: it's not the action; it's the reason for the action. So if I shoot someone in self-defense and they die, versus I commit homicide, I did the same action, but there's two different reasons that it happened. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't agree with the violence and all of that happened on January 6th, and we can both agree that that was bad. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, but there was a different reason why we were there versus what's happening in LA, right? So what we can say is that we both, I always get this word wrong, denounce. We both denounce the violence and everything that's happening everywhere, right?
Yeah,
we shouldn't have
that. That's the hard part. But then we have it's hard to look at who's inciting violence. I know that Lucy mentioned that it's the feds.
Doesn't matter who, it's just wrong. It is wrong. Yeah, anything other than a peaceful protest is wrong. Sorry.
Wait, peaceful protest?
Anything other than a peaceful protest is wrong. I'm in the black and white. I mean, it's like So no, as a black woman living in America, we don't live in the gray. Because if it's a little bit illegal, we are going
That's where you get caught.
Yes, we're going to be prosecuted to the fullest. So that's what I look at it. It's like, when did this become an illegal action? And then that is when, you know, law enforcement has every right to get involved. Please protect personal property, protect private property, protect people, protect businesses, because in some of these areas, people will take their insurance checks and they won't rebuild. Then you've got blight. That's not good.
Food deserts and
you got
exactly.
So let's step back a little bit. Put people in cars, like,
Did you see the guy blow up the car and almost kill the people standing around with their phones looking stupid? They were all like this. The guy's pulling gasoline.
That's it. Like, I don't know what anybody does in those situations until they're in them.
Yeah.
You don't.
So let's step back for a second.
That's why you have to have core values.
Yeah, it's either right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, do you rise to that level, or do you let the oppressor win?
So let's step back a little bit.
Do you let the bully win?
Okay. Hold on, everybody.
I love you, Brad.
Hold on. Do you think that now that everybody has one of these and a video camera? I mean, I watched 2 versions of the Avon riot at the steakhouse.
Riot? That's what we're calling it.
And it's almost like everybody's a reporter.
That's what happens when you do not prepare those roles ahead of time. There's a difference between roles that have risen and roles that have not risen.
The stale ones.
It reminded me of the food fight we had at the cafeteria at college, because I went to college back when Animal House was, so we had at least 2 food fights per semester. So do you think that fuels this with everybody having a camera? I mean, it's like out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see these things, are you going to get up in arms? How much do you think that?
I see so much that it's like, what's the point?
That's it, Brad.
Okay.
We're immune.
Yeah, it's just we're numb.
Yep.
It's like, what's the next biggest thing? What else can we do to get sensationalized clicks or views or whatever?
Yeah, well, that's what, John. That's what I was saying.
No charges were filed, so there we go. So they just had they just had a Roadhouse event at Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, with no charges. So, Tim, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say that I forgot. It's been one of those days. I usually get up about 4:00, so this is a long one for me.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on, and we're already been an hour into this thing, but this has been good because we've actually got talking points. So let's do one more, and then we're going to go we do the tinfoil hat. I don't know. This is a conspiracy theory thing that we do. And our guests can either stick around or not stick around if they want to. If you're running for office, you might want to duck out now, because if you're seen with the tinfoil hat on, you'll end up like me, Lucy, and Brad never win election again in our lives. So let's see. Let's do another national one here. Oh, let's end this up with Elon and Trump and their championship wrestling, we hate each other thing. Or is it real? Is it real or is it Memorex? Remember that commercial? Is it real or is it Memorex?
I don't know. I'll be Lucy for a minute. Is this a bait and switch? Are they doing this public argument, and is something else going on in the background that we should be paying attention to? Lucy, take it from there.
Well, we're not at tinfoil hat yet, but I've got an idea for the tinfoil hat time. No, it's very clearly a distraction. You'll notice that the week before the whole Trump is on the Epstein files video came out, a very important thing happened, and that was that Elon Musk showed up with a black eye. He's now in the Black Eye Club. And so those of us that know what that's about, I'll see that in the comments. But no, this is nothing more than a distraction. We are killing brown people all over the world. We're funding Israel, who's committing genocide in Gaza, so that Trump can build the next Trump Tower. It is definitely just a distraction. You and I both know that Republicans and Democrats and whoever, they're behind the scenes. They're having dinner with each other. This is
uniparty.
It was, in fact, I think it was the Mossad, where allegedly the Mossad, right? Because they showed him in profile, and he said, "This is our stage. That we create the entire narrative, we create the entire play, and then we execute it." And so, it's nothing more than a distraction. They still love each other. It's world. Remember, if you go to IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, Trump has an entry as an actor. We are witnessing an even better actor than the original president actor, Ronald Reagan.
Apprentice. You automatically get into that when you're an
Well, he's also, World Wrestling Federation. So what do you always have?
I didn't have Trump derangement syndrome back then either. I want to say that I eased into mine.
Oh, so do you have it, or is it full on for you?
I think so.
We have witnesses.
Anytime I react,
it's a brave man, Brad, to admit it.
I'm like,
it's the first step.
He's admitting it.
Are you mad about Trump? I'm like, yeah, a lot of the stuff he does. Well, you have
Admit
that.
You're
then.
powerless.
Like, great. Okay.
Admit you're powerless.
I think it's. I think when
first
you know,
step in admitting it.
Tim,
isn't that what it is?
Tim was talking about black or white on this. Either and we do have that. Either you love Trump or you hate him. There's not a and I would say that I'm probably a gray on this. I'm like I'm not just real thrilled, and I think I could put all the leaders into that category except you, Tiffany. You're my favorite elected person that's on the show.
Thank you, thank you. Fundraiser.
But I've been lied to. I've been cheated. I've been backstabbed. I've been.
But
everything.
Trump is better than the alternative. I'll just leave that there.
But that's garbage.
You
That's
can't be.
garbage
Then we're oh my
That
God.
is the lowest bar that we
It's a
should
curve.
think
It's not
about.
even a
No,
bar.
I'm so sorry. This is the greatest country in the world, and we had two candidates for president, and only one of them could win. And
I don't think we need to keep
the
putting this kind of
world would
pressure
be
on
on
one person.
fire if it was President Kamala Harris. My gosh, could you imagine?
Cackle fest.
I mean, we would all be learning Spanish, which is not a bad thing, but we would be trying to get really proficient.
Yeah, I can deal with it. That's my whole crew.
Here's where I think we are. What's the name of that movie where it's in the future where the guy is a
Terminator?
Idiocracy.
Fight Club.
Idiocracy. We have reached level idiocracy. We are just right below there. We're not pumping the soft drinks into the ground yet, but we're getting close, right? What we are doing is
fluoride out though.
Well, we got to. You know what? I want less and less in my stuff. Here's the thing. I had a heart attack in 2016 and died. I came back and lost a lot of weight. And you know what I realized? The more natural stuff I eat, the better I feel. My brain, cognition, and all of that, popping for a guy my age. Don't have the issues. I'm 60. I just turned 60, by the way, June 1st.
Oh,
just made it across.
Does 60 feel like 40? I thought when I turned 40, I was like, man, I thought 40 is going to be hard, but 60?
You've been up since 4 a.m? Jeez.
Old people don't sleep a lot. Sorry.
No, you stop sleeping.
Our motto is you can sleep when you're dead, which we're getting closer every day.
Well, that's why I get so pissed off at people in front of me in the passing lane that will not move. I've got limited time. I got places to be. Move the fuck over.
He made it a law for
I have a question for you. I have a question. All seriousness.
Okay.
When you go to like Walmart or the grocery store and you find yourself behind somebody in line who obviously has their pajamas on, it is so obvious that they did not like get up, shower, do the normal things. They are just there in their pajamas. And let's say it's 11-ish in the morning. How do you feel?
I used to be judgy. I'm not so judgy because I'm one of those guys. I get up at about 10 now. You know, my hours are shifted. So we just got back from DC. So I had to get back on regular time and I'm readjusting it back. So, the being at Walmart at 11 o'clock in your pajamas, depending on the circumstances, I give more passes now because we live in a 24-hour environment.
Depending on the Walmart.
But it's depending on the Walmart. You're right. Because I've seen worse than that. It's not the pajama pants, it's the thongs. You know,
have you been to the Beach Grove Walmart? That's where some stuff goes down. Just a program note real quick. Thor says, hey, John P. Schmidt's INS will be at your job site in the morning. And that's okay. Bring it. All my people they have social security numbers. They pay taxes. In fact, when I got into politics, the state decided to audit me. So, hey, I'm good to go. No problem. So there you go. That's a program note. So INS, if you come out, I'll put you to work. You better learn how to lay bricks. So there you go. All right.
Way to be proactive, John.
I know. It's like well, we had OSHA came like 2 or 3 weeks ago and they didn't even write my crew up for anything. So bring out OSHA, bring them all. I'm doing everything by the book. I've been inspected. Like what's that? Alice's Restaurant, inspected, prospected, all that stuff at Alice's Restaurant. They've done that to me. So, and the police pulled me out. I've been all the stuff that they could do to you politically to try to ruin you, which I believe it's worked because I've never won anything, but I'm still alive. But anyway, so Tim, we're going to wind it up here. If you want to stay on for the tinfoil, if you got a conspiracy, you don't need a hat for that. I think I'm the only one that has a hat. I wear a mask on occasion, but I
got one.
I will that. So you want to stick around? Or you want to?
I'll stick around. Yeah.
Okay, so I actually got a little bit of a.
I do have a conspiracy.
Okay, good. I figured you would. Yeah, we like it when people are gamers. So, what did I do? Did I get rid of this conspiracy?
Oh no, not that. Oh, I'd hate it.
Oh, this is terrible. The team.
You better go get your
I don't think I can get to it fast enough. So
there you go.
we're just gonna have to do. We just have to get our hats on. I don't know what happened. It went away. StreamYard hates me all of a sudden. I don't know what that's about. So okay, tinfoil hat time. Hey, I'll do a quick one like this with my teeth in. Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory. Let's see what's going on in this week. That was pretty good. That's about what it said.
That was better than the original. I mean,
I may have to save that. So anyway, this is the portion of our show. Oh, wait a second. Look at Ellie Mae up here. she's ready. Maybe I should go with this, the sombrero, instead tonight. Oh yes, sir. Yes, more. So what we talked about in our meeting was we want to do this. What was it called? Mouth off. Dorn and Lucy decided that this mouth off thing. So what that's going to be, we haven't figured it out yet. But one of our lucky viewers, they will get 1 minute to rant and rave about whatever they want live on the show. And this is going to take a little logistics because I have to send you a link and all that. It'll be a week delayed or whatever. But we got some loyal viewers that I'm sure that I would love to hear. We post some things up here. So, like this. This is a good one. I so appreciate this interview with Tim. He's a good guy. Look at that. And Janet is a loyal. She's actually on the countdown. I believe she's number 20. So we have some loyal viewers here. And, like I said, we had a production meeting. We're really going to try to make our entertainment and do all these things. So we will be getting the details out for that. And then we want to also have an event. We've been asked about maybe doing a Secretary of State debate at some point, and we're going to work on that. So, hey, we're trying to be somebody. But anyway, so we'll let Tim.
I'm interested in Tim's thoughts on the Secretary of State. I'm just interested in what you'd have to say about that in terms of what's good for the state of Indiana, and what do you see come convention next year?
I think Diego's got some problems on his hands.
I think that's probably.
I love that we all nodded.
Yeah, it's like,
he's got some problems on his hands, and I think that Todd Rokita does too. If I got time to tell a quick story,
yeah.
So I worked with Gateway Pundit and James O'Keefe on breaking the story about Act Blue. We actually went physically door to door with hidden cameras on our chest here in Indiana, a list of people to find out the amount of money that Act Blue was claiming they were raising versus what the people at those addresses said they were actually giving. And when we got to the end of that, what it was basically is Act Blue's lying. They're all in trouble. It's billions of dollars in financial corruption. It's going to sink a lot of people. By the way, it's been happening in WinRed too. It's not.
We just had somebody go away.
Like Trump is such a threat to everybody because he's blowing everything up. I took that information. I was at a Lincoln Day dinner, and Todd Rokita walked up, and I said, "Hey guys, is there anything you want me to discuss tonight?" And everybody went around the table, and it got to me. Nobody had anything, and it got to me, and I go, "I got something." And then I asked about this subject, and I told him what was going on, and I said, "Can we talk about it later?" He goes, "Well, that's not really something that I'm interested in." He says, "That's more with elections, and that's Diego." So I go down to Diego, tell him the exact same story. He's at the same dinner. Go to tell him the exact same thing, and he tells me, "Well, that sounds criminal. You should probably go talk to Todd Rokita." So I go back and talk to Todd. I get with his assistant. We go back and forth. I share what I have, and about 6 weeks later, I get a letter from them saying that there's no interest, and if I want to go with this any further, I'm going to have to file it with the FEC in Washington D.C. 6 weeks later, Todd Rokita jumps onto the bandwagon with all the other AGs that are suing Act Blue for doing what they're doing. That, again, see, here's the thing, guys. This is why I have the party thing pisses me off. And I don't mean to go on a rant, but I will if I can. We've got to be honest. If our guys are doing stuff that's dishonest, we've got to be honest. And that's where I was going earlier when I lost my train of thought. I did some shit that got me in trouble. I got to meet the police. I went through the judicial system. It taught me a lesson. And you know what? What I learned is if I can't do it, they can't do it. Those can't go out and do what I'm not allowed to do. They've got to be held to the same account that I was. I paid my dues. It took me years to get back. I don't know how more simple it is than that. I'm not a Republican. I'm an American with conservative values. I don't want certain things shoved down my throat. At the same time, I don't think that we should be shoving things down other people's throats. I don't think that we should be going around the world and being the police. I don't think that everybody that comes here is owed anything. Our founders didn't get somebody here with a big check for them when they arrived on the shores. They had to make their way. That's what the American dream is all about. And if we don't get back to it, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, I think we're definitely that was a good one. That's probably the best conspiracy theory that's true that we've had. So, I can't agree with you more. It's we've gone to that somebody, the 1990s. We had everybody gets a trophy. Now, fortunately, I have 4 kids that were born in the 1990s, and I did not raise them that everybody gets a trophy. Right. So I would make them do all this work, and I paid them in circus peanuts, which a couple of my daughters are still mad at me this day about that. But when they got those circus peanuts, my one son would eat a little bite at a time, and they really it's probably mean, it's probably child abuse, but they learned that work. You work because you enjoy the work, not because of the carrot dangling at the end, or you're going to get a trophy if you just show up to work. You've got to get the work done before you get the circus peanut. So, but anyway, I agree with that. I think that we've been too lenient with people, and people aren't held accountable, and especially our politicians.
We have to stop being party first and Americans first. And I think the Democrats have to hold Democrats responsible, and I think and their feet to the fire. And I think that we have to do it with inside the Republican Party as well. It's the only way it's going to work. Otherwise, we're going to get on my podcast. I've been saying it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better.
Yeah, well, and I think it gets to the point where's the boiling point? I mean, right now I feel like the frog in the warm water. It's getting warmer.
But I also think too, Tim, to your point about accountability, is that we would hope that people could self-police and have some self-accountability so that we don't have to, be above reproach, act like a public servant, do those things so that the public doesn't have to, get into your past, hack your emails, hack your phone, give the people what they voted for and what they deserve. Give us your best.
Yeah, that's a great theory till you add people.
Exactly.
So Tim, where can we find your podcast? I'll put it in the chat.
It's everywhere you get podcast. If you go to what's the big one? Apple, Amazon.
Okay, so it's Cramer says SEC Project.
Yep. It's just Cramer Says.
Cramer Says.
Cramer Says. If you go to your Google machine and you put in Cramer Says, I will pop up and it'll show you everywhere I am.
Okay, yeah, and I've enjoyed watching your takes on things, and I think that some of our other folks in here have, and we appreciate you coming on. What's your conspiracy theory, though? That story was great, and the Act Blue thing.
Here's my conspiracy theory, and I'll make it quick. I think we've done all this before. I don't think that what we've been told about humans and how old we are and how old this is. And I think that we've been around the sun a couple times, and I think we've repeated this thing over and over and over again. And I told my wife the other day, look at where we are right now. We are able to speak in real time anywhere to anyone on the planet in any language in real time. We've got communicators that we can wear. You can buy a communicator, a translator on your phone on TikTok for $7.
Yeah, I got those things.
Marvelous times, but we want to kill each other.
Yeah.
We want to destroy each other. And we've got Gabbard, who just came out and said that we're preparing for a nuclear holocaust. Think about how fast things would change if that were to happen. Just the least of it, not the worst of it, just the least of it, how things would change drastically.
You have a good point. So this is my thing, is that like right now we are not as a nation narrowly focused on one issue. The Cold War was warm peace. You know, we were getting along. We knew the big picture. Think about the starving kids in Africa in the 80s. We were going to defeat the famine. We wanted to feed everybody. As a nation, we do not have one singular focus, be it self-preservation or the preservation of others. And it will be the threat of what mutually assured destruction that will probably bring us back to our senses.
Yeah, Brad, this would be a good time to cue the black cat in the Matrix right now. So,
no, he's around. I mean, and you guys are all
he's probably taking notes.
Probably in his bomb shelter. Like,
So we talked about this nuclear.
Can I go with mine, because this is actually a great segue?
Okay, go.
We can't understand you with the mask.
It's about the military parade.
You got to take off that mask. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
It's about the military parade. And I,
can you sit at attention when you say
military.
that, please?
Happy birthday to the military. Thank you for everything that you've done historically. We are a great country because of you. So
you sound like you were reading cue cards with a gun to your head, but go ahead.
No, it's like
twice.
I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Because honestly, like that, I wish that it was happening in a spot where they were more of the focus. Rather, like, we've never done one of these kind of parades, right? I feel like
it's been not.
This is going to be kind of. You guys brought up the Cold War, and that's the only time I've ever seen those parades, and they were in the Soviet Union. Of tanks going. He's going, and so my conspiracy theory is that Trump himself is actually going to be involved in the parade, and he's going to be like the last thing, like Santa Claus. Okay, so he's going to be the last guy,
everything,
and he's going to be either
reindeer
or accompanied by whatever rockets he referred to as the super duper rockets, because he said that one time, and I always want us to remember that we have the president of the United States who referred to weapons of our military as super duper rockets.
He knows how to market.
Yeah. So I will tell you, Brad, that because I'm a veteran, been in a couple parades, I will tell you that your leader typically sits up high and he receives everyone as they go past, and they render their salutes, they're recognizing the power, the position. So he will be in a box up high watching it. And after everything that happened to John Kennedy, they just don't really do parades like that anymore, like open things. Even during the inauguration, you'll remember that was all indoors. So I think he will be he'll kind of be like in a balcony, kind of a Pope mobile kind of balcony, reviewing the troops.
You think he'll be in a Pope mobile from now on? Like
no. Like if he's outside, there will probably be some type of plexiglass, bulletproof stuff around
I also want to say one thing. You said at the beginning, typically. Trump isn't.
Yeah. So
come on. You see him doing the Santa Claus thing?
Only when you're invaded is the leader at the end of the parade. So like if this were Star Wars, and it would be like the stormtroopers and those great big things that look like great big animals walking by. Yeah, and then it would be Darth Vader and his favorite stormtroopers at the back. That's when your country is invaded. But this is more of a review of the troops.
I didn't know that.
Is he making the Joint Chiefs of Staff like march in the parade too?
They will probably be in the review stand with him.
Yeah. Wow, this is going to be. So when's this all taking place? July.
Oh no!
Four-star generals typically don't walk in parade.
It's Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
But I think, Brad, a better I think
I
a
think
better
they could-
conspiracy theory will be the
something like
money
that.
that it's going to cost to repave roads after tanks and military equipment goes through the streets of DC. I think that's going to be a bigger
Here,
issue.
we could kill off two
Well,
birds with
listen,
one stone.
it's
Bring them to
peanuts.
Indianapolis so we
Peanuts
could bring
compared
the
to
streets redone.
They are about to create a Doge situation by using
no, but
military
Trump
vehicles on
said
city
it's
streets.
compared to the price, or of the value that the parade will bring.
Yeah,
I think a good show of military force. I don't think we've done anything like
Uh,
this since the Civil War. I'm kind of
no.
for it.
yeah. Brad doesn't
Well,
see the need.
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Why?
And I agree. I agree. The money issue. I mean, here's the thing. We are $39 trillion in debt. I mean,
What's one more?
that's what they say. What's another 250 million? Let me put it in perspective for you. Is that this is where we can agree to disagree with Trump, right? As I don't agree with this. I don't see the sense in this. I understand what he wants to do, but it doesn't make sense when we're trying to be fiscally responsible. It takes 200 Americans working an entire year to generate $1 million in tax revenue. Did you know that?
Man, well, they must be
Say that again. So sorry.
It takes 200 Americans on average income, 200 Americans working 40 hours a week all year long to generate $1 million in revenue.
And they just spend
Now,
it like it's water.
multiply that times 250. That's how many Americans' money would be flushed down the drain with this kind of parade. I don't agree with that kind of spending when we've got $36 trillion and $39 trillion in debt.
Yeah, I think it just does seem odd. And I think of North Korea and young Jim Kim, marching his troops out there, or even the Communist Party doing
for
it.
us.
So
historically, it is a weird look. For us.
It's a weird look if your arm
I
is
don't think we
stuck out
should
like
have
that.
swagger.
That's the only weird look.
That's part of it.
That's not true.
It's like a swagger, and it's not.
That's not true.
kicking,
We used to in every parade in every city across the country, come fall, whatever spring, whatever kind of parade you got, celebration in your city or county or whatever, the military was always involved with marching down the streets. It's very American. It's very patriotic. It's not weird. It's not a conspiracy theory.
It's just expensive.
It's just expensive.
Yes.
It's good practice to mobilize. I mean, I'm trying to be an optimist here.
And I got to be honest, guys. Like, and this just comes from I hate parades. Like, it's
again, you've got.
I personally do not care for them.
In the game.
I don't see the point.
Parade.
I hate. I'm like, why are we all just looking at stuff like drive by? I'm like, I don't.
Do you
No,
know
I
how
don't
much
like
time
Christmas lights
parades
either.
save? You get to see so much so fast.
You're like the Scrooge. Okay, so we got your conspiracy.
Can I say this
It's
to
just
Brett?
so old fashioned.
John, can I say this, Brett, real quick? Is that, Brett, here's the issue, is that what we have to look at this and you hit on it, but we didn't go any further with it, is that everything that isn't about solving the problems that we have in this nation is a distraction from solving the problems in this nation.
Yeah.
So talking and debating about whether we should spend this money on it's wasted breath, because it's going to go ahead and happen. We're not changing anything, and the money's still blown. Right.
Yeah, but by every side,
talking very, very loudly about this kind of thing and holding everybody accountable. Now I'll be quiet.
No,
I got conspiracy theories. I got conspiracy theories.
All right, go. You only get one, Lucy.
Get it, Ellie Mae.
Only one? How do I choose?
Well, if you run them fast, we'll let you go. Go.
Okay, so Tim, what you have to know if you haven't watched our show before is that I don't deal in conspiracy theories. I deal in conspiracy facts. So the two that I'll bring up right now is real estate related to the riots. I think it was very strategic where those riots were staged. I mean, unlike January 6th, you didn't show up to pallets of bricks ready to destroy the area. So I think that those were
that's not true. That's not true.
Were there pallets of
bricks? Yes, but it was only in the areas where Black Lives Matter had access.
Okay, yeah, they couldn't give you any ammunition. I got it. So so on the real estate side, I think the riots are being very strategically done, because before you can build something new, you have to first tear down what is there. And the easiest way to get somebody out is to give them a check and let them go away. When my parents' house burned down in 1995, they got a check and they went and bought something new because they didn't want to deal with the old stuff was just easier to walk away. So that's number one. And that goes back to BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and all those, and how they're taking over the real estate market to make sure that you will own nothing and you will be happy. But I will not be happy if I own nothing. And then the second thing, and I
Brad
think
will
this
be.
goes back to, Elon and Donald Trump right now. And that's Palantir. This is what people are really, really missing. So you have Peter Thiel, who is part of the PayPal mafia. Peter Thiel just got a $900 million contract from Trump for Palantir. Palantir's CEO is literally on video saying that they have a kill list. They have thousands of Americans that they consider to be dissidents or terrorists. They have literally said that their whole job is to figure out who the bad guys are and then take them out. So for those of you who don't understand, Palantir, and this is, remember Biden was Build Back Better, and Trump is Big Beautiful Bill. And if you put those all in lowercase b, you get 666. The signaling is very, very clear that this is all the same agenda. I mean, he could have named it anything, but he named it the Big Beautiful Bill and Build Back Better. Okay, so like wake up and smell and see the symbolism. So what people don't realize is the whole point of Palantir and the Big Beautiful Bill is to consolidate every bit of data that can possibly be consolidated against every individual human. And then comes the web of control. In the Big Beautiful Bill is a 10-year ban, a moratorium on any of the states being able to push back against all of this
AI.
that's going on. And
Yeah.
so the future
We forgot.
is
Yeah.
offline. The future is off grid. So Tim, my chosen profession is I sell medicinal, edible, and culinary plants. I left finance and all that industry, and now I'm helping people put food in their yards so that when all of this happens, unless they direct energy weapon us like they did North Carolina, then that we're going to have food in our yards. And if people don't understand that we have got to get back to the basics of shelter and water and food, they're just not going to be prepared. 3 to 7 days in the city and 80% of your population is gone.
Yep,
So
that's it.
anyway, it's
So
conspiracy
Lucy,
fact,
you'd be
Palantir and AI.
proud. I have 700 corn plants.
Happy Monday.
Yeah. Lucy, you'd be
But
proud
I'm
of
not
that.
wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Yeah, hey, I'm planting the heck. I got 700 corn plants growing. I've been planting 2 rows for 2 weeks and just planted another 2. I'm like killing it right now. Yeah.
Well, my wife and I have been actually looking down in your area, Lucy. I mean, we've been looking we are looking for, I am looking for several acres with a pond. I've got to have a pond.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
I
you do.
fish every day.
Mention the fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So who's next? Tiffany, you got something?
No.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's why she stays elected. She just goes with it. She goes with
I like asking questions.
Yes, question asker. So anybody else got any other ones?
Can I ask you a question about conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
Tiffany, what's your favorite conspiracy theory that was exposed to be true? So it was told to be a lie and then exposed as true.
Oh, that Bigfoot doesn't exist.
That's perfect. But
I will tell you about like the COVID vaccine though. I was a drug rep for several years, and I had like insulin, and I had some pills for diabetes, different things, and I sold some psych meds and stuff. And the number of doctors that I would call on who would not prescribe a new pill for a year after it'd been, they would wait a year after it'd been on market to prescribe it, just to make sure that it was safe and did what it said it would do. And I knew that there were doctors that were like that. And so when the vaccine came around and people were like, roll up your sleeve and take it, I was like, wow. And to me, that was the number one conspiracy, that the vaccine was okay, because as a drug rep, as a licensed and legal drug dealer, I worked with doctors who had problems giving people a pill. And all of a sudden, you're going to tell them to take a shot with limited information and limited human testing. To me, that's when I knew that everything was just a lie.
That's because they didn't have reimbursement incentivized commission schedules like they do for vaccines, both at the pediatric level, and with COVID, it was absolutely on steroids. Most people are unaware that between 0 and 24 months, there are, and of course, I never vaccinated any of my kids. I figured this out before I ever had kids, but 0, 2, 4, 6, 12, 18, 36 months, you've got at least 7 visits in there. The reimbursement with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is $400 per child, but
Yeah.
only if you achieve a certain threshold of vaccination coverage, including the annual flu shot. So that probably takes it up to, 9 or 10. And those vaccines aren't just one antigen, they're multiple. So by the time a kid's 5 years old in this country, if they get every vaccine that's on the schedule, they're going to get 72 doses of vaccine. So I don't know if that's, 52 shots or whatever, 48 shots.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
if you
to
don't
your
get the,
point- oh, go ahead.
well, no, Tiffany, hold on. So the reimbursement schedule for vaccination in a pediatric practice, if you have a small pediatric practice of just 1,000 kids, then what happens is if you don't achieve 70 or 80 or 90%, whatever the number is, you lose out on all bonus incentives for the entire population of your cases, of your patients. So if you don't get 750 of those 1,000 kids to take every single shot, including the flu shot, you miss out on $400 times 1,000 kids. It's a $400,000 hammer that's being held over their heads. For the COVID shot, the reimbursements were up to $850 per patient in a 6-month period. That's why they were calling you in, because they work on commission.
Yeah, my doctor's a big he wants me to get the Prevlar 20 for the pneumonias and whatnot. And I
No
did hear,
vaccine is safe or effective. Every vaccine kills and disables.
yeah, that's what
Don't
I'm
do
like.
it.
And he knows not to push it, because I'm like, if it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go.
The other thing,
I mean, like, personal choice is still a thing.
yeah,
Yeah, if
but
I
the
want
other
to get
thing is
No,
that
it's
you have
not.
to be conscious
No,
of.
it's not.
The other thing you have to be conscious of, if there are vaccines that you are okay taking, is asking how they're delivering them this year, if it is mixed with something. So like tetanus and tetanus and whooping cough were mixed together. Just make sure that if you're going to go and get your annual flu shot, just ask what they're mixing it with, and ask them if they're using it to deliver two things, and make sure you're on board for the two. So that's the thing. I know
It's
some
worse
people.
than that. It's worse
Well,
than that.
I know. Well, some
Comes-
people are very vaccine conscious. I would hate, like, I don't do flu shots anymore, but I would hate to get a flu shot and then they got like the COVID vaccine in there too, or a COVID
Well,
booster.
that's the very first
Yeah,
thing
like
that they did was they
something's
made
hidden.
bivalent shots, because they've got to get you poisoned. You guys, if you haven't watched the work of Dr. Ardis, Ardis, you've got to watch the work of
Well,
Dr. Ardis.
I agree with you, Lucy, but I think the average American, if you put us on a bell curve, the average American, you're doing like the top 10% of research into like health and sustainability. But for the people who are in the bell curve, it's just like use a little bit of common sense and ask questions before you roll up a sleeve or ingest any medicine.
No, they don't. They don't ask any questions because they're shamed and gaslit, and they're told that their parents, that they're bad parents if they don't poison their own kids.
Well,
But how to message that better than
Can I
telling them
jump in?
they're bad parents?
Can I jump in on this? Do you know who the number one advertiser in this nation is right now?
Pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Right. And why is the pharmaceutical companies advertising so heavily?
Oh, money.
Because it works.
Chronic illness.
Control.
They're not curing anything. They want to get you on a pill.
They want to get you on a pill. They're selling you a product. That's when I knew, when COVID started happening, and when I saw, what's his name, Bill in New York. Hey, guys, you want to get a hamburger and some fries? Right. Okay, I'm done. I'm out. I see what this is now. I have created events like that. I know when I'm being sold, right? When I'm trying to be, when they're trying to give me something for free, I'm the product. I just don't go along with it. And I think that Americans have to wake up to the fact that the bigger our government has gotten, the sicker we've gotten. Right.
And our education's worse.
Education's
and
worse.
everything's it's not better.
Worse than education. And Johnny still can't read. And now he wants to blow up everything because he thinks he's a chick. I mean, it's crazy.
He wants to be an influencer.
Yeah, that's easy, Tiffany.
Then parents need to stop being influencers and parent their child.
I agree.
Like
yeah.
You don't want the library to do it, Brad?
Huh?
You don't want the library to parent the children?
No. I want the parent to parent the child. We don't want skin in that game. Like, we want that whole thing to kind of be hashed out before they, before we get into the picture.
The school systems, the school systems and the teachers unions and all of that have to get out of parenting kids, because that's what they think they do. They think that they're the parents and that they have more authority when they're saying, hey, listen, we think that we should be able to have secret conversations with your kid that you never know about. I got a problem with that. And
if that problem exists, then bullying shouldn't be a problem. Like, I feel like if we should be focused more on bullying as a thing and like the level of communication between parents and the schools. I think much more needs to take place if that's the case, because I don't know what school corporations these are and what parents these are, but my school is very easy.
The majority of bullying, Brad, doesn't happen at school anymore. It happens online. You're right.
Yes,
the parents have to be involved and kids to kick their kids off these phones if they're getting bullied on the phone, but the parents don't.
Now you're talking about parenting again. So it falls back to the parents. It has.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, and we know all parents aren't created equal. I mean,
no, but the school shouldn't be a scapegoat for.
The school is not. It shouldn't be a daycare, and that's what it's turned into.
And not all.
They shouldn't be pushing healthcare on kids either. It should be reading right.
Reading right and arithmetic. Right,
and PE.
Can't be painting with broad brushes all the time.
Yeah, we need reading boot camp.
Go in with sledgehammers, and then you're like, "Oh, I should have gone
in with a cornhole should be part of the PE curriculum."
Did you know? I'm gonna. Okay, here's what I think about our education system. I was raised on public schools, but we were in really good school systems, but they were just average cities. My dad was a minister. We moved. I went to 14 different schools, and all of those I learned something. The thing that we have to look at is that all the technology that we're currently using, if you believe the theory, everything, came out of guys that went to one-room schoolhouses, that then went to university, that then invented these things. So the cell phone, that wasn't invented, and given to us in the 80s. That was invented back in the 40s. They just had to figure out how to do it. So the thing I'm looking at today is that our kids aren't like that. Our kids are wanting to blow this nation up. Something's gone wrong. You're telling me that a kid that was raised in a classroom where the teacher had to teach them the basics for all grades, one teacher for kindergarten or whatever they had, first grade, whatever they had, all the way up to graduation. You're telling me that education system produced better people, more patriotic people than what we have today? I want to go back to that. I want to do that. I think that makes more sense. Right? I mean, we've got to get government out of things, because what it does is it just sucks so much. And once it gets a taste of it, it's zero sum, right? Once they get their budget, it's never going to stop. No government budget has ever decreased. Not one.
It's a ratchet.
It is. It's a Ponzi scheme.
They need those SUVs, Tim, they need those SUVs. For driving all over this great state.
I agree.
And Micah should have traded that in for a Subaru. That'd have been a statement.
Taxation
You ever driven a Subaru?
Have to end the Fed. End the Fed.
No, or a helipad. We need more helipads. They should have all just gotten helipads.
Okay, I'm doing my conspiracy theory. I have to have double hats on for this one because it might get me in trouble. But it's about our lovely mayor and his issues he's got going on. There's going to be more stuff come out, and all you have to do is just think about how Hogsett got divorced a month before he was to run for the mayor's office. Connect the dots with all these female staffers, and you can do the rest of the math. But see, I got two hats on here, so it's alleged. Everything's alleged. It's all for conspiracy theory purposes only, but you heard it here first. I actually know some names, but I'm not going to say names because really it's just a conspiracy. So anyway, that's my conspiracy.
I feel like the city's coming to your house tomorrow, John. I'm sure.
Oh, again,
find something.
I've got videos of two inspectors waiting to one leave and get me, and bring it. I'm here all day for your theatrics, Mr. Vindictive Mayor. So come on, come with it. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for tonight on the show. And Tim, you've been an excellent guy. I love the passion. We had two.
Yeah, Tim, that was fun, man.
When you got going.
No hard feelings, buddy.
Yeah, no.
Everybody picks on Brad. Don't worry.
Brad's awesome. We love Brad.
Brad's our mouthwash punching bag.
Epstein didn't come.
So
important to know your role.
Yeah. No. My on Twitter, I put like I'm a glutton for punishment, or so I've been told.
Every week,
and I appreciate it, but it's just I appreciate like the comedy portion of it too. Is just there's a lot of hypocrisy on every side, and it's just really fun to talk about that aspect of
On
it.
every side.
So if you're watching, the show,
nobody's on the Republicans,
and it's
So if you're watching
this, well, one of the reasons I'm not working with the Republican Party in the state of Indiana anymore is because I told the truth. Think about that.
Well, that's like the worst thing you could do.
I did that too, Tim. And
Close to the election during early voting. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
During early voting.
No, that was not early voting. That was.
You said 6 weeks before election day, right?
That election had already been determined. It was already going to happen.
Oh, yeah, it's Indiana.
Yeah.
So here's a question that we did not ask. This is a question we did not talk about last week. I know we talked about a lot of other things with the Secretary of State's office, but are our Indiana elections secure?
No election is secure. We only have C-elections. We don't have elections.
No,
this is so important. It's so important to leave a chance.
I wish I could remember his name. He was on my podcast. He's a mathematician. He's a PhD. He's a genius, right? He looked at the state's votes and how they fluctuate. And Indiana has a problem, and it happens nationally, where you have this huge influx of new voters before an election, and then right after the election they disappear. And it's in every state and in every county in the country. They think that it's software based, that there's something that's going on, but it's an anomaly. They can't figure out exactly what it is. But no, I don't think elections have been secure ever. Since we went to these electronic devices. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I've seen them crack into the machines. I've seen the evidence. No, I don't think any election using those devices other than paper are secure. I'll end with this. I went to the caucuses caucus for Trump up in, oh my God, where was it? Iowa. And here's what they do. They walk you into a room with a group you're supposed to vote with. Presenters for the candidates get up. They say their piece. They sit down and you vote. You put your thing on a piece of paper. You hand it to a guy. He puts it in a bag. They walk around. They put everything on a table. They count them in front of you and you walk out. 15 minutes. You know exactly who won your area. That information, you can copy it. It's now in not one person, not two people, not 3, 4, 5, hundreds.
Can you imagine the traffic?
Immediately.
Oh my God.
It was that fast. We knew who won. We knew who won that election in Iowa that night. We knew because we saw the vote from the people.
Yeah.
But how can that? I don't think that can happen on a massive scale like that.
Well, yeah, you just break
Iowa
it down.
does it? What do you mean?
You break it down into it's like eating an elephant. You eat them one bite at a time.
Yeah,
you got to break it down.
You got to get a lot of people
do that
involved.
on a mass scale, but Iowa's already doing it. They've been doing. In fact, it's the first election in the country. There's a reason because it's so effective at telling you who the people are talking about, what the people are voting for. It's a direct connection. It's like what I see is Iowa is the only true election that we have in the nation. That's why they do it first.
Okay, I like that. I think that would be fun to go to a real caucus.
We should steal that from them. You guys one
more.
We should
do it first.
Can we just vote earlier?
Yeah, we should do it before Iowa. We can steal their limelight.
Come on.
I got one more conspiracy theory before we go. I think that the Republicans and Democrats are a uniparty, like Tim said, and I think what they do is the Republicans let the Democrats have the city in Marion County, and the Democrats let the Republicans have the state. And you stay in your lane, we'll stay in our lane, and that's why we have crap for mayor candidates the last times, and that's why the Democrats put out, what was that guy he was on a walker? Who was the guy that ran in 2020 for the Democrats? I can't remember the guy's name, but he literally was on a walker.
For mayor of Indianapolis?
No, he was a governor, ran for governor.
I don't know that one.
Yes, he lost so bad, but he was on a walker running against Holcomb. So it's
You're talking about the brown guy, Woody?
yeah. Is that his name, Woody?
Was he on a walker?
Well, he's dead. He died. He was sick. He ran and he got sick and died.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah, he died. He's dead.
I think that was all negotiated in advance between the Republicans and the Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
He was literally their sacrificial lamb.
Yep. There was either a tax raised or a grant was given or something happened to make that happen. That's one of the things that I learned working inside where I did inside the Republican Party is that I was in all these meetings and people go, well, why are you kissing and telling? Because what they did was wrong.
Wrong. I know it really is.
I just can't be anymore. Wait a minute. You know, I kept going, this ain't right. This ain't right. This ain't right. This ain't right. And then finally I had to speak out. Right. Yeah. And I think that people have to look at this and go, listen, if the Republican Party is doing this, if they think that it's OK to fire somebody because they're warning fellow Americans that their rights are being violated, we've got a problem. We've got to be more honest with ourselves. Either this American experiment is what it's sold as or it's not. It's been corporatized, it's been bought off, it's been leveraged, and we're just slaves and pawns of the system, and we've got to learn to accept it. The World Economic Forum tried to tell us what the next step was, and it's you'll own nothing and be happy. I always put in motherfuckers because that's the way I would have said it.
And that is a good segue. That is a good end to the program. Tim, it's been very interesting, and we covered talking points that were on the list, not off the list, or whatever. One program note: if you want to win this 1 minute thing, mouthwashtalkshow@gmail.com. Put in the comments, get a whatever, and we'll let you have a minute. It's called Mouth Off. You can just shoot your mouth off on whatever you want to do for 1 minute. I'll send you a link, and you can go at it. And well, maybe we'll have more than one. I don't know. We're still making up the rules on this thing. We might not get anybody to do it. We might get 100 people to do it. But anyway.
First one's free.
The first one's free. Then we're going to start charging. So, Tim, thanks a lot. We're going to sign off and stick around for just a minute afterwards. I usually forget to tell the guests when they go away. We don't get to thank them and all that. So I got an ending here somewhere. Oh, there it is.
See all right, everybody.
We'll see you next week. We got Greg Merriweather coming on. So it'll get a little spicy. So we'll see you next week, 9:00. Mouthwash Talk Show, over and out.
Yeah.